Zurück Ihre Einschätzung. Nicht, dass wir vorab schon was verraten. Aber Fragen jederzeit erlaubt. So, dann geht es direkt weiter mit dem zweiten Slammer. Und das ist Ian Clodworthy. Ist Physikstudent an der Humboldt-Universität in Berlin und kommt auch mit Requisitengeräten eine Zitrone mit Batterien dran. Das sieht schon mal spannend aus. Ja. Holy moly. Okay, du wirst uns bestimmt gleich erklären, was du damit machst.
So, ja, ich gebe einen Vortrag zu Forschung in Akkus, so, neue Entwicklungen in den letzten Jahren. Ja.
Okay, vielleicht noch, was fasziniert dich generell so an Physik, war nämlich mein mieseste Fach in der Schule.
Physik ist die Naturwissenschaft, die um die natürliche, ja, so wie die Natur aufgebaut wird, Kräfte und ja, alles anderes. Und ich nehme noch nicht teil an Forschung, aber ich finde alles, was um Energie geht, sehr spannend und interessant.
Ja. Und obwohl du nahezu akzentfrei Deutsch sprichst, woher kommst du?
Ich komme aus Irland.
Aus Irland. Herzlich willkommen in Berlin, dein Google.
So, hallo meine Damen und Herren. Wie Herr Kafka hat gesagt, ich bin Ausländer. Und leider bin ich sogar Englisch-Muttersprachler und deswegen habe ich decided, meinen Vortrag auf Englisch zu halten. So, my lecture, it's about neue Epoch, neuer Held, das Bestreben nach neuer Energiespeicherung. It's not over. I'm hoping this is okay. Okay. So, yeah, this talk should be entertaining. Science is very precise and it takes a long time, so it's a hard thing to make entertaining, I think, but I can try. So, this is what renewable energy is like. Or not. Sorry, that's not the right slide, or the future. Yeah, okay, so over the last few years we've seen a lot of renewable energy built in Europe, the Energiewende, we call it here. And yeah, one thing that's an issue still is that the power of the energy, the maximum times of generation, doesn't necessarily correspond to when people need power. So that's why I'd like to introduce the concept of baseload. Baseload, or Power Supply, Grundlastversorgung auf Deutsch, refers to the fact that in the case of renewables, the wind blows at night, for example. Not many people are using power, so it could go to waste, and maybe people need a lot of power in the daytime, but if it's still in the daytime, then it's not much use. So we need to build baseload power supply, and until now, baseload power supply has been mostly composed of stations like this, coal power stations and nuclear power stations. But yeah, we want to go more renewable these days. So people start to think, how can we make baseload out of renewables? And what that's about is mainly storing the energy in some way. So, okay, lights down please. So we need a battery of some kind, something like this. Let me just give you just a minute. Yes. Our new hero. How about you? But this is just an LED. We need something better, surely. Say, a lithium-ion battery. This is the basis that I'm going to talk about. But first, I'd like to go back a bit backwards, you could say, to renewables. And why are we bothered with renewables at all? Climate change is bad. Okay. Scientists agree. Climate change is bad and we are causing it. It's bad, like a disaster from a science fiction story. A large-scale existential threat to our entire species. Like, you know, in that film with Bruce Willis or something. But it's actually real. It's making a lot of parts of the world difficult for humans to live in. And so scientists generally agree as well that it's one of the most urgent issues that we face, if not the most urgent. And it's got just a limited time until we can really solve it. So a lot of bread baskets of the world are going dry. So that's just Fila Cobb came out talking about us. And species are dying at an unprecedented rate. So it's really serious. It's not just a small environmental problem. And scientists generally agree as well, from an engineering point of view, it's completely solvable. It's feasible to minimize climate change and build a low-carbon economy. Scientists also agree that solving it now is cheaper than waiting for the worst. That is, it's cheaper to pay for mitigation than for damage later. But the problem is, the remaining fossil fuel reserves are huge. They correspond to about 5 times the amount of fossil fuel that we can sensibly use until the climate becomes completely out of our influence and we're at its mercy. So, in other words, if we all want a safe world to live in, we have to leave most fossil fuels in the ground where they are already. Doesn't sound too expensive, surely. So all this does sound kind of gloomy, especially when I play music like that. But it can still be turned around. I mean, the last speaker had some good ideas. I can tell you as well, the other speakers all have very good ideas. But still, the fossil fuels thing, I mean, these fuels, they helped humanity to progress a lot and raise living standards over the last century. And so the other speakers had good ideas, and our sponsor, they have a lot of good ideas too, a lot of good scientists working for them and engineers. Surely they can do a lot. So I took the liberty of preparing a list of things that the fossil fuel industry is doing to help climate change. What's really got to take the prize? What really must take the prize is drilling for oil in the Arctic. The fossil fuel industry is going really hard for this. So just like a couple of years after we have the worst oil spill ever, they're pushing to drill in the Arctic. And then in Germany, Vattenfall, they pay the CDU and the SPD to slow the Energiewende. Exxon is spending $100 million a day to search for oil and gas. So $100 million in a day. And coal companies. Do I need to talk about that? I mean, let's think about how grateful we should be to all these guys. So less than 3 minutes left. Better sum up. The core business of these companies is no longer helping us. As I said, it helped us a lot before, but it's harming us. As you've seen, €1 billion, €1 million euros, Kleingeld in this industry. These companies, they throw everything they can at our politics in order to allow further drilling in places where it should not be drilled. And they maintain a position of respectability in our culture and society. But how can this be when they're destroying the basis of our planet's ability to sustain human and other life? I mean, I think everybody agrees really everybody agrees it's essential to build out sustainable energy, but it's not enough. Eventually you have to get around to dismantling and retiring the fossil fuel infrastructure that's causing so many problems. So despite public relations events like this, fossil fuel companies are not putting a lot of money into renewables or any workable solutions. They're problem solvers, they're not problem solvers, they're problem makers. So danke für eure Aufmerksamkeit. Ihr seht alles so gut aus.
Ich bin sehr gespannt auf die Bewertungen der Publikumsjury. Kommen wir direkt zum dritten Slammer und das ist